Well, my relationship was actually struggling because I was running a business and neglecting my wife, honestly, for a long time. We've been married 38 years. Our connection had dropped and wavered, over the last at least 10 years or so. I've learned a lot why. I was really in a place where I needed to lean in to my marriage to make it what I wanted it to be. I started searching and started watching podcasts, started listening and looking at your websites, and I kept hearing that voice, Doug's voice, saying, a lot of guys just listen to this stuff and they don't do anything. And I didn't want to be one of those guys. So I actually called your number and got somebody. And I don't know if they just called me back, but I talked to Tyler. We scheduled a call, I think, and it was a great conversation. And what I said to him was, I've been in business for 30 years. I know marketing. I know, how you get your ideal client persona out there. And I was telling him, I'm your ideal client. I'm not gonna waste a lot of your time. Everything you're messaging is me. And so you're speaking to me. So tell me what it does. What do we gotta do here? That's kind of where I took it with Tyler. So. Well, it was a process that, kind of unfolded throughout the 8 weeks. We got to connect with, a handful of other guys that were going through, various challenges, same as me. The connections to the guys was like wide open, like immediately. Like these guys, including myself, were in such pain. We were looking for answers. Franco was our guy that ran our process. He's awesome, just a super genuine guy. He told us his story, told us what was going on, and it's similar stuff. It sounded like me. The first step in the process, was really kind of just getting to know the methodology a little bit as we went through it. Well, I tell you, the Powerful Man and the activation method in particular, as I started doing the work, first thing they talked about was, I was like, hey, we got to fix my marriage, and some of that was, I knew it was me, but, some of it I was blaming my wife. Everything that I was doing or not doing was what was causing the problem. I was 50 pounds overweight, working, constantly, kept adding complexity to my life, owned several businesses, kept adding more complexity, buying real estate, doing all kinds of different things, and it was just kind of a mess. And so first thing is, take care of my stuff, and so I started doing the Alpha Rise and Shine, which is something they teach you, do that in the morning. I kind of dug really deep into that and really got aggressive with that. I was eating well, I was doing all the things that they talked about, doing the breathing. Tim talked about breathing in one of the podcasts and in one of the trainings, and I was doing his breathing, and that just gave me energy. And so, I was out there just doing that work. I remember I set my alarm for 6:05, and I always use odd times. 6:05 was when I got up. I was out the door by 6:15 after I downed some water and just, hit it and ran it. I got up to, I was averaging 4 to 5 miles a day. I got up to 10-mile walks at some point, did some walks in the afternoon as well, did the breathing, did the journaling. It was powerful, and I shed 30 pounds. I'm 30 pounds lighter right now than I was when I started. I got 20 more to go, but I'm confident I'm gonna get it. I've also started, strength training, and so, I told my wife about this a little bit, and she's like, how's this gonna help us? And I just said, look, this is just what they're telling me. I'm just following the process. And it started to work. It started, she started noticing. She started, having a little more energy around it. She started supporting me. She doesn't know this, but I overheard her bragging to one of her friends that I'd lost 30 pounds, which she was kind of downplaying me doing that because we both needed to lose weight. But when she bragged to one of her friends, like, hey, he's losing some weight, he's doing this, doing that. I'm like, okay, this feels good. That's how we progressed, and then we went through, not to reveal the whole methodology, but we went through several other steps that opened up communication between me and my wife, made me attune for everything that, I had done or not done over the last at least 15 years in growing my business. It was hard to grow the business, and I was focused, and in the early days, it was survival to do that. Later on, when it wasn't survival anymore, I just kept doing it. I just created that habit and just kept doing it and doing it. And all the while, my wife was going from like first in my life to second to third to fourth. I was addicted to growing this business. And when it stopped being about the money, then I started realizing I was making a choice. My wife definitely picked up on that. Well, if you're thinking about joining it, first of all, you got to join it, because if you're thinking about it, there's a problem. Right? And it's probably a problem that's been around for a long time, You've probably been, maybe unaware of it for a while, but then you've been aware of it for a while too. I was aware of it for a long time. My wife was very clear with me lots of times, and I just kept failing her. If you're having challenges in your marriage, start if you're young. I mean, I'll be 59 years old in a couple months. I waited too long. Don't wait too long. It's your life you're talking about. Making a living, building, this was my line, building security, building financial security for my wife was what I thought, I needed to do to really have a great family. Yes, you want some stability, you want some financial stability, you want a home, things like that. But honestly, it's not as important as you think it is. I mean, you got to create stability, but I just got addicted to it. And so I'm just need to get more addicted to my wife. And I love her to death. We've been together since we were 17 years old. And we've been married for 38 years, together for 40 and a half or so years. I'm not going to give up on that. And because of what I'm doing, the activation method, because of what I did in the last few days here at the Alpha Reset, she's not giving up on me. And I got confirmation of that today. The experience that I just went through, the men that come to this experience, all of us are a little bit broken. All of us have things that we're embarrassed about, things that we wouldn't tell, sometimes even our closest friends. That's not helping you, man. If you're listening to this, that's not helping you. And I'm just saying, get out there, be vulnerable, and just open up. And just understand that, there's more people out there just like you that are going through this, that are making a change, that are saving their marriages, that are becoming the wolf, becoming the king of their lives, and leading their wives, and helping their wives live a better life. And they're living a better life. If you're frustrated with where you're at, dude, you got to step to the line.